Hello everyone, Sally here and welcome back to another Bedrock Edition tutorial. Today I'll be showing you how to build a very simple and easy to build creeper converter or charge creeper farm in your Bedrock Edition worlds. This is intended to be an add-on to your existing creeper only farms, or you can fill it up with regular creepers from the wilds if you feel like it. This thing is super easy to put together and very safe as well. It is also very user friendly. The idea behind this is you go ahead and put a bunch of regular creepers into the top of the build, whether that be from the wilds and gathering them manually or from your creeper only farm. Those guys then go ahead and get put into the creeper conversion chamber, as you can see there, and then you go ahead and go AFK. Whenever a thunderstorm happens to roll around, the system will fully automatically convert all of your creepers into charge creepers, and they will be released down into the lower holding cell for your use to use on whatever projects you deem fit. The conversion chamber will then open back up, allowing more regular creepers to be put into the system, and then you can convert a whole bunch more. To make it very clear, once you put creepers into the top of the build, whether that be automatically using a creeper farm or manually by harvesting them in the wild, that is it. Putting creepers into this thing is the only thing you, the player, has to do. The rest of the system is fully automatic. As you can see, we can just stand here and go AFK. The next time a thunderstorm randomly comes around and happens, the system will fully automatically convert all of the creepers into charge creepers and release them down into the collection area. It will then reset and the system is ready to process even more creepers. You can automate the putting of normal creepers into the system depending on how you build your creeper farm, and then you would have a fully automatic charge creeper farm in your worlds, which is really cool. Taking a closer look at this build reveals that there are four main parts to it. The first part is of course the creeper collection pool. This is just a generic water stream to push all of the creepers into the conversion chamber. You can build this in pretty much any way that you like for hooking that up to a creeper farm or for your manual creeper collection. Anyway, as long as the creepers get into this area right here, it'll work just fine. Once these guys are in here, they will eventually be struck by lightning, activating the redstone, and then they will be released into the lower area, of course. Swinging around the backside of the build, you can see that this is where all the brains of the system happens. First of all, we have a relatively slow etho hopper clock. This is activating about every 30 or so seconds. It doesn't really matter. Either way, every other time it activates, it's going to hit the witch with a channeling trident. And that is not going to kill the witch. We do not want it to kill it. We want it to hit it very slowly over time. And the witch is actually going to drink 2 health potions every single time it gets hit by the trident. So this witch is never going to die. And this is a very integral part of the farm. If it's a thunderstorm, it's actually going to summon ourselves a thunderbolt, of course, and we don't really care about the damage to the witch. They'll heal themselves. What we want that thunderbolt to do is convert our charge creepers, of course. Now, when that thunderbolt strikes the witch, it's also going to destroy this minecart right here and drop that as an item, which we can then detect using a comparator going through the system. It's then going to, of course, redispense the minecart and reset the system. As you can see there, perfect demonstration. It activates a pulse extender, and then that activates all of the pistons. First of all, it's going to extend the upper piston and prevent new creepers from going into the system, as you can see there. But then it's also going to release these 2 pistons and release all of your fresh charge creepers from the containment cell there and put them down into your lower area. So it's a pretty simple build once you understand the base mechanics. I'm really quite happy with the thunder trident and the lightning detection as well. This tutorial is part of my advent calendar for December of 2020. Every single day in December, I've been releasing a brand new tutorial on the channel, some sort of farm contraption or redstone thing that you guys have been really wanting, and this is one of the funner ones. There is one more tutorial and video in the advent calendar left. It's been a really fun ride thus far, so thank you very much for your support on the series. Of course, if you're enjoying this video and want to help support the very end of the advent calendar, then of course make sure to leave a like or possibly consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss more tutorials like this in the future. Charge creepers really only have one main use in the game, and that is to explode and kill other mobs. If these guys explode and kill either a skeleton, a creeper, or zombie, then that mob will then drop their head, and that is the only way to get these 3 heads and pure vanilla survival. You can also also, of course, get wither skeleton skulls from this as well. So for every single mob that your charge creeper kills on a Bedrock Edition, that is going to drop 1 skull. As you can see, we can get rid of all the skulls in our inventory. Those guys just died. We can go pick up all these, and now we got ourselves 17 wither skeleton skulls from 17 charge creepers. So hooking up this little farm right here to a wither skeleton farm or a stray farm is the best way to get wither skeleton skulls and beacons in Bedrock Edition. If you want a massive, amazing beacon farm, check out the iCards for a farm that gets you 78 wither skulls per minute. Normally in this part of the video, I would talk about the mechanics of this build, but I kind of already did. The only thing you need to know is that channeling tridents and a trident killer will summon lightning during a thunderstorm. That's all there is to it. But instead, I'm going to use this part of the video to talk about lightning detection. Now, lightning is actually an entity, so it can activate tripwires. As you can see there, we're summoning some lightning in the middle of all these tripwires, and it's hitting the same layer as the ground here. So that actually activates 2 tripwires. Very fascinating and kind of fun. So that's technically lightning detection. Getting that to work with a witch is kind of a difficult thing, however, but I did develop a system for that too. Now, lightning can also activate a pressure plate as well, which is a very fun thing. So here's some things that you never knew about and you never thought about, but you need to be aware of if you're just gonna leave pressure plates and tripwires lying about in your world. How random. So I did develop a system to have the witch activate a tripwire. This is only going to activate that tripwire and the redstone output when the witch gets struck by lightning. Now the thing about this is the witch actually hops out of the minecart when struck by lightning, because the lightning destroys the minecart, and thus the witch is actually the thing that activates the tripwire hook. So that means you need to redispense the minecart, which kind of defeats the entire purpose of this little thing here. So I just decided to use the minecart itself as the actual activation and detection for lightning. As you can see, if we summon some lightning next to it, it's gonna break the minecart. That minecart gets collected by the hoppers and then redispensed, resetting the system. So the lightning has to strike at the same layer or lower than the minecart. As you can see, if we summon some lightning right on me, it's gonna break that minecart. But if we go even directly above the minecart and summon in lightning, it's gonna have no effect on that minecart. So we have this right at the same layer as the witch's feet, meaning that lightning strikes right here, breaks the minecart. And let's hop into the tutorial, shall we? For your convenience, there's going to be a full materials list for this build down in the description of the video. You're going to need yourself an 8 wide by 7 deep build area. It's going to be 9 blocks above the ground and 1 block below the ground as well. For additional creeper storage and transportation, you may also want some additional blocks onto the left side of the build, as we have represented in iron blocks. We're going to start off by mapping out where the center of our conversion chamber is going to be. So go to the front right side of your build area and count inwards by 6 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then in by 3, 2, 3, and this right here is going to be the block that your creepers stand on, waiting to get struck by lightning. So we're just going to mark that out with a couple pieces of glass. We're now going to go behind this by a block and place in another block here. This is where your witch is going to stand and where your trident killer for channeling is going to be as well. We're going to go ahead and put some walls around this, 3 blocks tall in every direction, to contain the witch, of course. And I'm going to be building out of glass for the majority of the tutorial, simply because it's nice and you can see what's happening in the build. You don't need to use glass for most of it, however. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and place a solid block beneath that piston and some blocks here as well. Skip 2 blocks and then have 3 more blocks in this area right here. Place in your comparator and then your 2 hoppers facing each other for your etho hopper clock. Place in your comparator there, redstone there, pistons facing each other like so, and then a redstone block between them. And now swing around to the front side of the build, and we need to place in a temporary block right there, and a dispenser facing upwards to redispense your minecarts. Break that block and place 2 hoppers going into the side of your dispenser like so. Get yourself a block right there, temporary rail, powered rail, and then 2 normal rail right there. You can now remove that temporary rail, place in a lever on the back side of that block, simply to power your powered rail, and now we can place in all of our redstone. So you want 2 blocks right here, a comparator reading from this middle hopper, going into a repeater on 4 ticks, block up, and then 2 blocks right there, and another block like so. Finally, 2 pieces of redstone dust, and that is going to redispense your minecart to reset the system. You now want a block down right here, and then redstone dust, a comparator right there, and a comparator right here, and then 2 more redstone dust right there. 2 solid blocks in these locations, redstone dust, and then a repeater right here going into another solid block like so. And now it's time to install your alternating pistons, so we need a redstone torch right above that block there, block above it and block to the side, sticky piston facing forward, block above that and another sticky piston facing forward right there, solid block on the front of that piston, and a glass block on the front of that piston right there. Go ahead and place in 1 piece of redstone dust, and that will power both of those guys. We now need another redstone torch right here, block above that, and then a sticky piston right here off of the side of that block with a solid block on its face like so. That is all the redstone installed. Now we need to build up the conversion chamber, so we're going to put some walls to either side of that central block, going all the way up flush with this piston right here. Swing around to the front side and install a button right underneath this solid block to hold in your water. Couple more blocks right there and another button right there to hold in the water yet again. Place in another block there, and then build up these walls on either side all the way up to this layer with the piston here, and make sure to put a block there as well. And now to install our charge creeper containment cell, we need to remove these 2 blocks right here lined up with our buttons, and then place in some additional walls in these areas, of course, to contain those charge creepers, and then simply build up this wall all the way to the same level as that glass block and that piston right there. And now we're going to build up the top part of the build to deliver your normal creepers into the conversion chamber. So what we need to do is place in a runway of blocks right here, and then build up a wall on all sides of this going upwards by 3 blocks. Your creepers are going to be bobbing up and down in the water, so you want to build this up by 3 just so that they never see the player or anything like that. So this is the basics of the runway. We're going to place in a normal button right here, right above where that block is going to be, simply to prevent the water from flooding down into our conversion chamber. And this is where your build becomes a custom build depending on what you want to do. If you have a creeper farm, hooking this up to your creeper farm can be a varying process depending on what kind of design you have, but the basics of it is get yourself a whole bunch of creepers into a water stream and push that water stream into this 1x1 hole. Ultimately, it's pretty simple, but depending on your setup and what you want to do, maybe you have a very complex farm. Maybe you have a farm that kills them all on magma blocks. Not really ideal for this. Or maybe you just want to gather all of your creepers from the wilds of the world and then herd them into a water stream. Depending on what you want to do, your system for getting the creepers into the system is going to be very different from what I have set up here. So experiment a little bit and see what happens. And now for the finishing touches of the build, you want to go ahead and place in yourself about 30 or so items into the hopper clock here. Doesn't matter which hopper you put them into, just put them into one of them. If you ever want to turn off the hopper clock, you can place a lever right there and flick that, and that will turn off the system. We now need to place a minecart right there on that powered rail, and then surround this in some blocks to make sure that when the minecart pops off as an item, it doesn't go flying where it shouldn't. So place in some blocks in these areas and another block right above the minecart as well. You can now go ahead and place in a water source right where the creepers are going to be standing inside of your conversion chamber. And now you want to grab yourself a channeling trident. It doesn't matter how much durability it has, and just go ahead and throw it directly on top of that piston like so. And now for probably the most difficult part of the build, you want to get yourself a witch and get that into this 1x1 hole. You'll probably want to use a minecart rail to get it into this hole, and then just basically drop it straight in there. Make sure to name tag this one as well, that way it doesn't despawn. And furthermore, you'll want to make sure this hole right here has direct sky access all the way up, that way rain can get in there, and that way thunder and lightning can actually get to the witch as well. Otherwise, the channeling trident ain't gonna do nothing. It's also a good idea to put an additional lightning shield right around your minecart. That way lightning that strikes in this area or directly inside this chamber doesn't give you a false positive and release all of your non-charge creepers. So what you want to do is you want to build a little roof right above this minecart going 3 blocks in every direction. So basically a 7x7 roof. You can make this out of slabs or glass or whatever you like. If you feel like it, you can even extend your roof another 2 blocks in this direction as well, because there is the extremely rare chance that as your minecart is being dispensed onto your powered rail, lightning could strike, like, you know, right here. But that is so extremely rare. But you know what? If you want to play it more safe than sorry, I'm kind of assuming that if you're building this, you already know how to handle charge creepers and how to get them where you want them. But if you don't, we're going to make a small expansion to the containment cell right here, removing those 2 blocks and those 2 blocks, placing a piece of water into that back corner, and then placing more blocks in this area to block the line of sight. Anytime a creeper is inside of that cell right there, it's going to get pushed into this corner. It will not bob up and down because it'll have a block above its head. And then what you can do is get it into a minecart really easily by having a dispenser right here, a solid block above that dispenser with a button on it. Put yourself a whole bunch of minecarts into that dispenser, and then get yourself a powered rail right there, powered by a lever or a redstone block underneath it, and then simply take your rail line and put your charge creepers wherever you want them to be. You'll also want to have some glass blocks at the same layer as where the creeper heads are going to be. That way, they can't see the player. If they see the player, they're going to explode. On that same note, make sure there is many blocks between you and the creeper. That way, when you press the button and the creeper gets into the minecart, it can never see you. If for some reason you ever want to cycle the redstone and get all of the creepers or charge creepers out of this little conversion cell right here, all you need to do is place a button on that block and press it. That will cycle all the redstone and reset the entire system. And now we can go ahead and test out this entire system. So I'm going to dump some creepers from our creeper farm into the top of the system. As you can see, they'll drain down into the middle. Eventually, the redstone clock in the back is going to activate, striking the witch with the channeling trident during the thunderstorm, and then that is going to strike all of our creepers, activating the entire system. And as you can see, everything happened. The minecart got destroyed, the redstone activated, and bam, all of our charge creepers are now down here in the lower part of the build. If we go ahead and put some minecarts into our dispenser, we can then get those charge creepers into minecarts and take them off and have some adventures with them. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about today's charge creeper farm, then of course let me know in the comment section down below. I'm always trying to help you guys out as best as I possibly can. And also, if you enjoyed today's video, then of course make sure to leave a like. It really does help out the video and the channel a ton, so thank you so much for doing that. If you're new here, consider subscribing so you don't miss more tutorials like this in the future. And otherwise, I'll see you guys down in the comment section and in tomorrow's video. And then there was silence.